Hello, everybody. Wolfang here. Today is Friday, March, January, February, March, April, March the 28th. I know. Um, I don't know. Anyway, I'm looking at my computer right now, and it says it's 80 degrees outside. I do not believe that. I do believe it's more like 76. Yeah, it's been the wind picked up big time after that frickin' monsoon that we had this morning at 7 o'clock. I mean, it came down freaking hard, but that's good. We need the rain. So if there's anybody in the area that's a prepper living in Cincinnati, I hope they had some water containment catcher, for catching rainwater. Yeah, I'm not saying would have filled it up, but man, the way it came down, it's like the clouds just opened up. It was crazy. So I hope everybody's having a good Friday. I say cheers. Nothing like a cold beer after a hard day at work or whatever you choose to drink. Today was a long day. I did 3 different jobs. Uh it's all good though. Glad to be back to work. Kinda. Uh I wouldn't mind retiring right now. I really wouldn't. I ain't gonna lie. There's plenty of shit to do around here. But so my wife had to step out today and take care of some stuff, and I come home. She's like, "Oh, there's some stuff that in the van." She drove the van. She said there's nothing wrong with it. She said it drives fine. So I'm going to take it out tomorrow and see what's going on. But those people at that tire place I took it up to, and they told me I need struts and shocks, and all the tires are bad. It was $2,500. I was like, no. But she drove it twice, and she said it's fine. It's actually her van, but when I sit here and think about it, I don't own a car. Both the cars are hers. What the hell's going on with that? I just now.
Bad credit.
I used to have, and it's funny because the tables have turned now. I had the cars. Well, she had a little car when we met. It broke down. I had a Geo Storm, and a buddy of mine that I was working with back when I was doing HVAC, he would come and pick me up in the morning. So the car that I had turned. My wife took over. She was driving it all the time. So tit for tat, I guess, huh? But anyway, so she was out doing her thing, and she's like, when I came home, there's stuff in the van. I was like, all right. I went down, bring up the groceries and that, and I was like, oh, what's this? So she picked up these so I can do my planting. I was like, wow, cool, thanks. She said it's an early birthday present. I was like, yeah, bigger pot, pothead. Anyway, I know I'm in a weird mood. I'm always in a weird mood. But today's article is a win for Trump. So let's get to it. It says appeals court rules Trump can fire board members of independent labor agencies. Says an appeals court ruled Friday that President Donald Trump can fire 2 board members of independent agencies handling labor issues from their respective posts in the federal government. A divided 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit agreed to lift orders blocking the Trump administration, from removing Merit Systems Protection Board member Kathy Harris and National Labor Relations Board member Wayne Wilcox. Or I guess that's how you say it. Gwynne. Is that Wayne?
Yes.
I guess. I don't spelt weird. Anyway, on March the 4th, U.S. District Judge Rudolph Contreras ruled that Trump illegally tried to fire Harris. 2 days later, U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell ruled that Trump did not have the authority to remove Wilcox. The Justice Department asked the appellate court to suspend those orders while they appeal the decisions and appeal them back, just like a banana. President Joe Biden nominated Harris to the MSPB in 2021 and nominated Wilcox to a second 5-year term as an NLRB member in 2023. Circuit Judge Justin Walker, a Trump nominee, said the administration likely will succeed in showing that the statutory removal protections for NLRB and MSPB members are unconstitutional. The government has also shown that it will suffer irreparable harm each day the president is deprived of the ability to control the executive branch, Walker wrote. Judge Karen LaCroft Henderson, who was nominated by Republican President George H.W. Bush, wow, she's been in for a while then, wrote an opinion concurring with Walker. Henderson said she agrees with Walker on many of the general principles about the contours of presidential power under the Constitution. Judge Patrick Millett, who was nominated by Democrat President Barack Obama, wrote a dissenting opinion. She said her 2 colleagues on the case rewrite controlling Supreme Court precepts. I can't even talk today, and ignore binding rulings of this court, all in favor of putting this court in direct conflict with at least 2 other circuits. The stay decision also makes the first time in history that a court of appeals or the Supreme Court has licensed determination of members of multi-member adjudicatory boards statutorily protected by the very type of removal restrictions the Supreme Court has twice anonymously upheld. Government lawyers argued that Trump had the authority to remove both board members. In Wilcox's case, they said Howe's unprecedented order works a grave harm to the separation of powers and undermines the president's ability to exercise his authority under the Constitution. They also argued that MSPB members like Harris are removable at will by the president. Wilcox's attorney said Trump could fire her without notice, a hearing, or identifying any neglect of duty or malfeasance in office on her part. They argued that the administration's only path to victory is to persuade the U.S. Supreme Court to adopt a more expansive view of presidential power. Harris attorneys claim the administration was asking the appeals court to ignore Supreme Court precedent. Make no mistake, the government's radical theory would upend the law, they wrote. It would jeopardize not only this board, but also the Federal Reserve Board and other critical entities like the Securities and Exchange Commission. The 5-member NLRB lacked a quorum after Wilcox's removal. The 3-member MSPB enforces civil rights law in the workplace. So there you go. And the only reason I read it is because Trump didn't do anything wrong. And they will continue and continue and continue to find wrong in every right that he does, if that makes any sense. So, other than that, I'm going to, I've said this before, I'm going to try and switch it up a little bit. I'm starting to get burned out on the news. And there's, I don't know. I'll find something. I don't know. I do not know. So I do know I'm going to play with this weekend. Because I've got 2 little pots in the windowsill right now, and I'm not getting anything. And they've been sitting there. I put hot pepper seeds in one and that Rocky Mountain mint or something like that in the other one. And they've been up there for a couple weeks and nothing's growing. Maybe it needs some Viagra. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great Friday and a great weekend. This is Wolfang. Blessed be, stay safe, and I'll bullshit with y'all later. Bye.